There's a number sitting inside the mind of almost every American driver, and most of them have never once questioned it. It is the number at the top of the gas pump screen. The total, the final amount, the price you pay every single week just to keep your life moving. You swipe your card, you watch the numbers climb, and somewhere in the back of your mind you accept it. You tell yourself, that is just what gas costs now. That is just the reality of driving in America. You adapt, you budget around it, you move on. But what if I told you that somewhere between 15 and 40% of every dollar you have ever spent at a gas pump was completely unnecessary? Not because your car is old, not because fuel prices are high, but because of something far quieter, far more deliberate, and far more personal than any of that. What if the single biggest factor in your fuel bill is not your engine, not the oil companies, not even the price on the sign out front, but a set of habits you were never taught to question? This is not a story about technology. It is not about buying a new car or installing some gadget. This is a story about knowledge. Specifically, knowledge that exists in public government documents, that has been proven by professional drivers and verified by federal researchers, and that has never once appeared in a gas station loyalty program, a car owner's manual, or a single oil company advertisement. The reason for that silence is not complicated. It is just money. Think about what you spent on fuel last year. The average American household spends right around $3,000 annually at the pump. According to figures published by the U.S. Department of Energy, somewhere between $450 and $1,200 of that total went through your exhaust pipe as pure waste. Energy you paid for, that was loaded into your tank, that never moved your car a single useful inch further than it should have. Gone every year. For as long as you have been driving. And the techniques that would eliminate that waste cost exactly nothing to apply. $0, no appointments, no products, just understanding. To understand why this matters so deeply, you have to go back to October of 1973. The OPEC oil embargo has just begun. Arab member nations have cut off oil exports to the United States in response to American support during the Yom Kippur War. Within months, gasoline prices quadruple. Lines at gas stations stretch around entire city blocks. The federal government implements odd even rationing. Your license plate number determines when you are allowed to buy fuel. For the first time in the post-war era, American drivers are confronted with a reality they had never considered. Gasoline is not infinite, and gasoline, it turns out, can be taken away. The crisis produced two lasting responses. The first was the corporate average fuel economy standard passed by Congress in 1975, which forced automakers to improve vehicle efficiency. The second response was quieter and in many ways more powerful. It was the birth of a community of ordinary drivers who started asking a question nobody had seriously studied before. How much does the way you drive actually matter? These early efficiency enthusiasts were not engineers. They were people who started paying attention to variables most drivers had always ignored. Tire pressure, how quickly you accelerate from a light, how far ahead you look before slowing down, what speed you cruise at on the highway. Each variable, when studied carefully, produced documented and significant differences in fuel consumption. The automotive press had never reported them, the oil industry had never publicized them, but the data was there, clear and consistent for anyone willing to look. In 1992, the Oak Ridge National Laboratory published the first comprehensive government-funded study of driver behavior and fuel consumption. The study followed 500 vehicle driver pairs across 18 months of real-world conditions. The results were direct. Driver behavior, not engine technology, not fuel quality. Driver behavior accounted for the largest measurable gap in real-world fuel economy. Two identical cars, two different drivers, dramatically different results. The Department of Energy expanded on this research and has made the findings publicly available since 1994. The gasoline retail industry, meanwhile, spends approximately $2.5 billion per year on advertising in the United States. Not a single dollar of that budget has ever directed a customer toward the government's own fuel efficiency resource. The conflict of interest is not subtle. It is precise. A driver who uses 40% less fuel visits the pump 40% less often. And the pump is where $490 billion flows every year. Now let us look at what is actually happening inside your engine, because once you see the physics clearly, everything else becomes obvious. A gasoline engine converts chemical energy stored in fuel into mechanical motion. In a modern engine at highway cruise, only about 20 to 40% of the fuel's energy actually reaches your wheels as useful forward motion. The rest is lost as heat. The thermal efficiency ceiling cannot be changed by driver behavior. But what you absolutely do control is how much of that useful energy goes toward moving you forward versus fighting forces that resist motion. Those forces are three: aerodynamic drag, rolling resistance, and inertia. Aerodynamic drag is the biggest fuel consumer at highway speeds, and it does not increase evenly as you go faster. It increases with the square of your velocity. The difference between 65 and 75 miles per hour is not 10% more drag, it is nearly 30%. Slowing from 75 to 65 can reduce your fuel consumption by 10 to 15% from that single change. Rolling resistance, the friction between your tires and the road, accounts for about 15 to 20% of fuel use at highway speeds. When a tire is underinflated, it deforms more as it rolls, generating heat and requiring more energy to maintain motion. Studies show the average American vehicle runs on tires that are 6 psi underinflated. That single condition costs roughly $36 per year per vehicle, and it is recoverable in 30 seconds at any air pump. The correct pressure is not on the tire sidewall. It is on a sticker inside your driver's door jamb, and that is the number you match. Inertia is where the largest single driver behavior impact lives. Every time you brake to a complete stop, you convert the kinetic energy your engine worked to create back into heat through your brake pads. That energy is gone. It has to be rebuilt from scratch when you accelerate again. Aggressive stop-and-go driving can reduce fuel economy by 15 to 30% in city driving compared to smooth, anticipatory driving. The difference is not how fast you go. It is how you manage the energy you already have. The evidence is not abstract. Wayne Gerdes, widely credited with popularizing the term hypermiling in 2004, achieved 59 miles per gallon in a standard Honda Accord. The EPA rated that same vehicle at 34 miles per gallon. He drove a completely stock car, no modifications. The difference was entirely technique, and automotive journalists independently verified his results. A University of Michigan study tracked 480 vehicles across 14 months and found that fuel consumption for identical vehicle models varied by up to 54% between different drivers. The same car, 54% more fuel consumed by the least efficient driver. The variables were speed consistency, smooth acceleration, braking frequency, and tire pressure. Driver behavior entirely. Here is the part that stays with you. The average American driver will spend approximately $120,000 on gasoline over a 40-year driving lifetime. If 20% of that fuel represents unnecessary waste, and the evidence strongly suggests it does, then $24,000 flows through the exhaust pipe, not because driving is inherently expensive, but because the knowledge to prevent it never reached the driver through any channel that was financially motivated to share it. Your car is not the problem. Modern vehicles are engineering achievements compared to anything available 30 years ago. Your habits are not the problem either, because habits are learned. The issue is a gap in communication that has operated quietly and profitably for decades, and it ends the moment you know what to do. So here's what you do tonight. Check your tire pressure before your next drive. Find the sticker inside your driver's door jamb and match all 4 tires to that number. 30 seconds. If you cruise highways around 75, drop to 65. That single change can save roughly 75 gallons per year. In the city, look further ahead. Give yourself enough visual distance to see traffic 12 seconds out, and when you see a light turn red or cars slowing, stop accelerating and let the car coast. Every stop you avoid is energy you do not have to rebuild from zero. Accelerate gradually from lights. These are not theories invented for a video. They are documented, publicly available, and sitting in a government resource that has existed for 30 years, waiting for the day someone decided it was worth your attention. The gas station does not profit from your knowledge. The oil company does not benefit from your efficiency. The information was always yours. It was simply sitting in a vault that nobody with a financial stake in your spending ever had a reason to open. If this video shifted something in how you see your daily drive, subscribe to Secret Fix Vault right now and hit the notification bell. Every video on this channel opens another vault they assumed would stay sealed. The next one is coming soon, and it will change how you think about your household budget in ways that are just as quiet and just as significant as this one. The vault is open. Share it before it disappears back into the noise.